Ever since I was young, I've dreamed of traveling the world. And of course, I've dreamed of riding a lot of roller coasters along the way. But that's never quite been enough for me, especially when it comes to my YouTube channel. Travel the world, make a few vlogs, yeah, that would be nice, but it doesn't excite me. I want a project that inspires me to keep going and to make unique, fun content that I'm proud of. One day, I was thinking about what that project might be, and I flashed back to me, maybe 12 or 13 years old, staring at world maps, fascinated by this huge world we live in, and dreaming that one day I might be able to be one of the few people to visit every country on Earth. And that's where the idea began. There are 197 countries on planet Earth. 130 of them are currently home to a roller coaster. Some of them are big, some not so much. But I'm going to ride them all.
What?
This is the story of one enthusiast's insane mission to ride the best roller coaster in every single country. One man, 130 countries, 130 coasters. This is Coaster Odyssey. Welcome to the introduction episode of Coaster Odyssey. Tomorrow, my journey to ride one roller coaster in every single country begins. But you might be wondering what the plan of attack is, and how I plan to make this seemingly impossible goal a reality. So let's talk Coaster Odyssey. What is Coaster Odyssey? The concept is pretty simple. For every country, I'll post a poll on my YouTube community page asking you what the best coaster in that country is. Whichever coaster you vote for, I'll have to ride in order to tick that country off the list. We go until I complete the world map. How many countries are there? There's really no way to answer this question without offending someone. There's a lot of politics about what is and isn't a country. So I'm trying to be as apolitical as possible, and I'm going with 197 countries, which is probably the most widely accepted number. It's also the number RCDB uses, which makes my planning very easy. But only 130 of those 197 currently have an operating coaster, so I'll only be planning episodes in those 130 at this time. However, if one of the other 67 builds a coaster while I'm traveling, I'll obviously include them as well. What are some of the obstacles I might face? With such a huge project traveling through such a diverse array of cultures, it's going to be a challenge with many different obstacles along the way. For example, Nicaragua's only operating coaster has a maximum height restriction of 150 centimeters. North Korea will require finding government-approved tours that allow me to visit their theme parks. Countries such as Libya and Turkmenistan are notoriously difficult to obtain a visa for, and many countries have very limited information available on park operating hours, requirements, or ticket costs, meaning I may have some nasty surprises upon arrival. But for me, that's part of the adventure. However, there is one obstacle that I want to be very clear on. What about countries that are dangerous to visit? There are a handful of countries that I would say are off limits at this point in time due to war, conflict, internal tensions, or oppressive government regimes. They'll go on the back burner for now. I'm not going to put myself or others in danger for a YouTube video, and I'm also not going to try to benefit from the suffering of others by making YouTube videos in a war zone or giving money to an oppressive government, for example. I'll wait either until the situation improves or until I can get a local guide who can give me advice on my own safety and making sure my money and attention doesn't go to the wrong places. For now, those will be the countries I plan to do much later in the journey, in the hopes that their situations become more stable soon and I can visit safely. I'm a firm believer that there are good people everywhere in the world, and I absolutely want to include all of those countries to show off their coasters and their culture. But for now, for my own safety, and for that of others, they'll be moved to the bottom of the list. What will I do if a coaster is closed when I visit? Well, that's part of the challenge. I can't tick off a country until I ride the coaster that you guys vote for. If I have to revisit, then that's part of the challenge. What's the plan of attack? Great question. I've used RCDB to write out a list of 130 countries that have permanent roller coasters currently operating. Now, this might not be the final list. There is the possibility that another country builds a new coaster, or that one of those coasters closes and leaves a country without any. I'll also be keeping a close eye on travelling coasters, as these might be the route to including some smaller countries with no permanent coasters at this point in time. In 2024, I'll be beginning my journey in Europe. I'll be spending around 2 years living and working in Europe, and during that time I'm going to aim to tick most of the countries there off the list. From there, well, I haven't quite decided yet, but I'll have the Americas, Asia, and Africa left to cover. In each country, I've done thorough research to choose the potential options for Coaster Odyssey videos. I'll be uploading the polls a couple of months in advance to give you all a chance to vote, and planning my trips around the result. Each video will be a blend of a park vlog, a general vlog showing off my travels to reach the park, a reflection on the park, and a review of the coaster itself. My goal at the end of the project is to be able to complete a gigantic ranking of every country based on how good their best coaster really was. And now for a few questions from the viewers. Cutback Coasters asks, for the countries that have massive coaster collections, are you going to ride more than one coaster? Well, yes and no. There will still only be one episode of Coaster Odyssey per country, and only one coaster will be chosen as that country's best coaster. That coaster is the one that I will have to ride in order to complete the country. But I will still be visiting other parks and vlogging those trips too. Don't worry, I won't be flying into the USA to ride Velocicoaster, for example, and then leaving. You'll get to see my journeys to other parks along the way here on the channel too. The only thing that the Coaster Odyssey poll decides is which coaster is the feature of the country's episode, and which coaster I have to ride in order to tick it off. For example, DC Rivals was chosen as Australia's best coaster. I still rode Leviathan and Steel Taipan and vlogged those trips too, but Rivals was the main mission, and I can't check Australia off the list until I ride it. Lachlan Mapley asks, what parks are you currently planning to go to, even if a coaster at that park isn't voted as best in that country? I'm glad you asked. So, my journey is beginning in Europe. I'll be travelling on a working holiday visa there for at least the next year. Since I'm going to be living there anyway, I'm breaking it down into a lot of smaller trips, a lot of which are still just penciled in, so nothing is confirmed yet other than the first 6 episodes, which are Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Greece, Ireland, and the UK. I'm expecting to make around 20 to 30 episodes this year. But to answer your question, the parks that are already confirmed are Movie World, Dreamworld, and SeaWorld here in Australia, Rainbow's End and Crystal Mountain in New Zealand, Universal Studios in Singapore, Alu Fun Park in Greece, Emerald Park in Ireland, and Blackpool Pleasure Beach, Alton Towers, Drayton Manor, Thorpe Park, and Chessington in the UK. Vertical Loop asks, how long is the Coaster Odyssey gonna last, and how often are episodes coming out? These are great questions, but the answer to both is, I don't know. This is a long-term project, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted a long-term goal for my channel that was unique, a little bit crazy, and would show off my love for travel and roller coasters in a really eye-catching way. I've always dreamed of trying to travel to every country, so bringing that idea to life through roller coasters just makes sense to me. I love having long-term projects to work on. I love the feeling of accomplishment that comes with something when you complete it after years of hard work. There are a few reasons it's hard to provide a time frame. First of all, every part of the world is extremely different to travel in. In Europe, I'll be able to travel between a lot of countries very quickly, but in Africa, it won't be quite as simple. And in China or the USA, I'll want to spend a significant amount of time traveling just in that country because of how large they are. For this year in Europe, I'm aiming to release at least 20 episodes before Christmas, with the possibility of bonus episodes if I have extra time and money available, and after that, who knows? Using that maths of 20 episodes a year, it would be 6.5 years, but once you factor in longer travel times and some specific countries that will require a bit more planning and forethought, it's probably going to take longer than that. I hope I'll be making the episodes entertaining enough that you won't want it to end anyway. And don't worry, there will be other content in between. My plan is to just get out there and start ticking countries off the list. The end of the series is way on the horizon, and I plan to get there one step at a time. Roman Secundus asks, Are you planning to do any community meetups based on Coaster Odyssey? Interesting question. I did meet with some friends at Movie World while we were filming episode 1, and that was pretty nice. I've also got in contact with some friends from some other countries coming up soon, and hopefully I'll be able to have them on as guests on those episodes too. But a lot of my audience is in Australia, and now I've kind of done Australia. The rest of the series is going to be literally everywhere except Australia. That being said, I know I do have subscribers from all over the world, and I'm more than open to meeting up at parks and riding coasters together, so maybe, if you're from a country in Europe, let me know, hit me up in the Discord, and we can plan to do an episode together this year. Well, that sums up this introductory episode of Coaster Odyssey. I hope that you're as excited as I am for episode 1 to premiere tomorrow. If you have any further questions about the series, leave them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer. In the meantime, stay tuned because exciting videos are coming very soon. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.